Hey everyone, Katie Sutton here, intuitive channel and founder of Zen Within Academy and the New Earth Now School with your April 2025 energy update. We have had a very big month leading up to April. I think that March was a very interesting time for all of us indeed, because we had 2 retrogrades and 2 eclipses going on. And we are still recovering, I think, from all of those energies as we move into April. We still have 2 planets in retrograde. We have Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde still happening, and they will not move out until about the middle of the month. So I think around the 7th is when Mercury goes direct, and Venus will go direct on the 13th of April. And I will tie all of that into the themes that I want to talk with you all about today. So let's get into the April themes. All right, so we've got 4 that we're going to talk about this month. The first is real-time processing. So as this theme came in, what the guides were showing me is that as we move more and more quickly through our transformation as individuals and as a collective, our ability to work on letting go and receiving at the same time is about to expand. And we are going to be getting downloads of things that might be opening for us and downloads of things that we might need to let go of. And those 2 things might come in all at once. And so the way that the guides have shared this with me is that we're going to be getting some upgrades in our mental body space and in our higher chakras as we move into April to help us with this quicker processing that's happening of all of the energies and the downloads and the lessons and the karmic clearings that we're going through. And so we're going to expand our capacity to let go and receive at the same time. On an energetic body level, what that's going to look like is our masculine and feminine balance shifting yet again, for us to be able to expand our ability to receive in our feminine and maybe start to see a shift in how we are deprogramming within our divine masculine rigid beliefs or structures that we've carried probably for multiple lifetimes and certainly for many generations ancestrally, and allowing us to shed them at will much more easily while we are visioning the future that we want to create for ourselves. And this real-time processing may also expand to having a triggering event in the moment and being able to almost feel like there's a timelessness that happens in that triggering event where you're able to observe yourself having a very different reaction and processing it very differently than you have in the past. Sometimes when I'm working with folks and we're working on resiliency in their being, we're actually working on the pause that happens when we get a trigger, and we want to actually extend the amount of time that we have before we react so that we can actually make a greater degree or have a greater degree of choice about how we want to respond to situations. So I do see this real-time processing also probably showing up of how we're navigating things that are happening in the collective and our ability to really process all of the complexities and the nuance of what's going on in the collective shifts that we're seeing across the board in all of our systems and structures. And I think that our ability to get to the truth and get to the heart of the matter of what's changing and why it's changing is also going to expand with this theme. So I feel like this is a really positive, although it might be interesting theme that we're going to be working with. Of maybe in the past, we've been conditioned to be in a place where we focus on letting go and we honor the letting go process. And then we have a pause and then we have an opening and a new beginning. We're going to see those things happening almost all on top of each other in real time this month. And we're going to, I think, see that expand even after April, but we're going to start to anchor some of that energy this month. And I think it's going to allow you all to navigate and gather more downloads more quickly and really just expand your process of transformation as a soul. And hopefully we'll see that translate over into the collective too, where we're seeing some faster shifts and some things that, maybe have been broken for a long time starting to begin to create some change, or seeing some change begin to be created in those environments. So that's the first theme, real-time processing. All right, so let's go to theme number 2. Theme number 2 is trust your process. and your is all caps. So over the last few years, the guides have very often reminded me and all of you that we need to be focused on staying in our own lane and not getting into other people's process, other people's emotional processes, other people's life processes, honoring their autonomy. And this theme is similar to that, but it's more about us staying in our own lane in terms of how we're creating and how we're manifesting and what we're choosing for ourselves. This theme is really going to impact our solar plexus chakra. When we are creating and we are stepping into our power, sometimes what happens is we feel like we need a template of how we're going to create our life. And so we go external to ourselves and we start seeking inputs and information and inspiration from those around us. And inherently, that is not bad. But when we go deep into that and we start comparing ourselves on a really deep level and finding ourselves unworthy or lacking in some way, this can actually hinder our creation process. I think that you all are going to get some downloads this month in terms of what you want your life to look like, and you might be guided to take less input on that. That might mean pulling out of some social media energy. It might mean pulling out of some relationships where maybe there's been a lot of control energy coming in and trying to guide you into things that other people want you to be doing versus what you want to be doing. You might see some shifts in just how you're navigating your creation process this month. You might also notice that you're being asked to trust that when you get divine inspiration and divine guidance about how you want to navigate in the world, that you are not going into self-sabotaging patterns or areas of self-doubt. And so you might have some things in the solar plexus that get activated this month that are really old self-judgment or self-sabotage patterns around creation and around choosing the life that you want to have. And this can show up not only in just like your work environment or things that you're manifesting for yourself personally, it might also show up in your relationships, where maybe the way that you relate and the way that you want to be in community or the way that you want to be in partnership might be different than how other people would like to navigate it. And so you're really going to learn this month some places and see some places where you might need to just honor what your truth is in those environments too. And I think when we're working on something like this, we're really creating a field of energy that is very supportive and very magnetic in our solar plexus. And that's going to allow things that we want to experience to almost be magnetized to us. When we're in our place of authentic expression and we're in that authentic truth, it is very magnetic, and it allows us to bring things into our vortex, if you will, into our field, our frequency field that we need to complete our mission here, to do our work here in the world, and to have the best experiences that we want to have as a soul in this lifetime. So I really think this is a very positive energy that we're going to see this month of trusting your process. You might be a little tested, right? You might have some naysayer energy or some negative Nancy energy come in, and you're just going to have to tune that out a little bit, right? You can say, hey, thanks for your input, but I'm actually not taking input right now. This is just how I'm creating. This is what I'm working on, and I'm going to trust my process. So thanks so much for being concerned, but I've really got this, right? And so this is about you stepping into your confidence and your power and really owning that, even with your throat chakra, right? So that link between the solar plexus and the throat chakra might also get a little work this month. Okay, so that's the first two themes. Let's talk about number 3. So I mentioned that we have Venus going direct on April 13th, and we've been in a pretty lengthy Venus retrograde cycle, and I feel like it was pretty intense for a lot of you last month, and maybe even in February as well, where there were some major ahas and maybe new attunements that you were able to reach in your relationship space, and you're processing all of that and you're figuring out, okay, I know that this isn't working for me, or this particular way of relating doesn't feel good. What do I need to do to move in a direction that does feel good? So you're in maybe a curiosity phase right now of how you want to relate in the world. And this includes your relationship to self, by the way, not just to other people. And so the third theme this month is relationship revelations. And I think that since we are going to have Venus going direct about mid-month, we're going to see some real truth and some real clarity drop in how we want to relate in the world. And I think that this is important. Last month, we worked on being in our embodied empathy so that we could open up and be in compassionate space with those around us and start to welcome in more connection. And so that really set the stage for us to be able to move into this energy of relationship revelation, where we're going to start to see some new connections come online. So if you're somebody who's been in a shedding phase and had a lot of people leaving, or maybe you've had some uncertainty in your relationship landscape, I think that there might be some new beginnings this month, some new energy in relationship coming forward. If you are someone who's looking to be in partnership, this might be a great month to start to dip your toe back in, especially like the back half of the month. It might feel really good to get yourself back out there and open up for connection. There's a rebirth feeling with this, right? Of us going out and getting connected in a new way with people. And in terms of your relationship with self, you might also have some new awarenesses that you're integrating post-eclipse, and some new kind of inspiration in that of how you want to relate to self and how you want other people to relate to you and see you. And so you might take up some new hobbies or some new experiences this month because you're trying to explore different parts of you that maybe either have fallen away or have gotten lost along the way, or there may be brand new aspects coming online, like a remembering of parts of your light that you haven't been engaged with in this lifetime. And that feels really exciting to me, to just think about the idea that we might be having new experiences like this, where there are parts of us that we start to learn about that we didn't even know existed. We think, I don't know how old you all are when you're listening to this, but we think that when we're adults that we know all of the facets of ourselves, but we are ever-changing beings. We are constantly evolving, and those around us are constantly evolving. So you might notice as new parts of you come online that you start to witness that in other people, and then there's new relationship touch points that come in where there's new things that you might have in common with other people, right? And the opposite might be true too. As you have new experiences and new desires come online for you and new inspiration come online for you, you might find that some things don't fit anymore in your relationships, and you don't want to keep putting energy into that. So I think that mid-month, we're going to see a lot of those revelations come in, a lot of new beginnings in relationship, a lot of expansion. I think it's going to feel like a breath of fresh air in our relationships. There might be some growing pains, especially if you're finding new parts of yourself and you're in partnership already. There might be some fears that come up around, will I be able to stay in this partnership? Will they accept me? The number one thing that the guides want you to hear in this is to kind of lean into these new experiences, lean into these new awarenesses of how you're relating to self and how you're relating to others. We are really learning how to co-create on this planet, and you might have some new collaborations coming in this month. Some things that maybe worked in the past in your collaborations might need to fall away, right? So just pay attention to how you're relating this month, okay? So that's theme number 3. All right, so let's move into number 4. So I mentioned last month that my healing circle is now an hour and a half, and I cover all 4 themes in every circle now. But there's always going to be one that we hone in on and focus and becomes an overarching theme for the whole circle that we do a little bit more work around. This is theme number 4, which is expanding the heart field. And I have to tell you all that I'm both nervous and excited about this particular theme, because last month we worked on the empathy piece and the embodied empathy and finding our confidence in that, because we wanted to open up and stay in our body while we were in the height of our empathetic nature. And that really was bringing in compassion. It was bringing in connection. It was bringing in vulnerability. And so, of course, now we're going to move up from those lower chakras that we worked on to create some stability and safety last month, and that we're going to move into the heart. And what the guides have shown me is that we're going to be activating our divine heart intelligence. And we're going to see that as our heart opens up, that there is almost a second brain operating in our heart space. And within that heart space, we are going to start to learn how to tap into that heart intelligence to guide us on our path and to guide us in how we want to create, how we want to be in our intuition, how we want to relate to others. We're going to start to find that heart intelligence this month. And when I was teaching my resource class that just completed, one of the things that came in is the connection to the cosmic heart. And it's this divine intelligence within the cosmos that is activated into this divine love energy. And as that was getting activated, I noticed that my own heart chakra was going through a transformation. And we're going to really tap into that this month. We're going to start to shed some layers of protection in the heart chakra. We're going to start to shed some old ways of being in the heart. And the heart is all about how we relate to ourselves first and foremost, which I just talked about in the last theme. And we're going to, as we dismantle that armoring, open that field up and unlock some old things that have been hiding in the background in the heart. So I'm not going to say that this is all going to be rainbows and roses, right? We might find some things, some deeply buried pain, some deeply buried grief, some deeply buried unworthiness in there. We might need to sit with that pain a little bit. It might even feel physical as we work through this heart opening. But as we get to the other side of it, if we can really sit with it and really allow that pain to come to the surface, we're going to alchemize it. And then as that heart field comes open, when our heart is really open, not only do we become more magnetic, but we also have this great ability to have a massive amount of energy flow moving, and we can alchemize really chaotic and difficult, dramatic situations. And I think part of the reason why we are seeing this really activate now is that we have lived so many centuries trying to activate and create and be in our human beingness from our mind. And it's gotten us into a lot of power struggles and a lot of really difficult things on this planet. And we have been taught that operating from our heart space is vulnerable, is scary, that we might get betrayed and we might get disappointed and then we might have heartbreak or heartache. And yes, all of those things can still happen when we are expanding our heart field, but our ability to stay in our center and process that, if that does happen, and not fall apart is what we're really expanding as we move into April. And just thinking about the divine intelligence of the heart and what gifts might lie in our heart consciousness feels really beautiful to me. And I'm excited to be bringing this into the healing circle because I'm reconnecting with a collective that I haven't channeled in a long time, which is the Venusians, or those from Venus. And this energy, I love that we're going to be coming out of Venus retrograde and the Venusians have decided that they want to come back to work with me, with you all. But they have this amazing heart field energy that they just emanate. And it's so powerful that it surrounds whatever is happening in the environment, whatever experience the person is having that I might be working with when I channel this frequency. And it surrounds it with so much compassion that it just begins to bring light into really dark places and start to break up that density with so much love and so much compassion. It feels really good. And I want you all to be able to experience that too. I want you to be able to bring that frequency into your heart space so that you all can be alchemizers of density in that way, right? When our heart field is really open and we're emanating this heart light and this compassion, we are walking transmuters, and we're not doing it in a disempowered way. That's why we had to work on the embodied empath last month so that we could be in our power in those lower chakras, create some safety and some confidence. And then when this heart field opens up, my gosh, we can just transmute so many things just by being in that place of love. So I am very excited about channeling the Venusians and bringing that in along with the other themes. We'll work on every single one of them this month in Healing Circle. So that is going to happen on April 9th at 7 p.m. Eastern, 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern. You can always catch the recording if you are not able to join live, and you'll be able to work with the activations multiple times. What's been happening is that I have a long activation at the beginning to set the energies that people are really enjoying. Sometimes some light language comes in. I do teachings, and the guides bring through teachings on all 4 of the themes, and then we have a closing activation that weaves them all together. And it's like a little magic trick that happens because sometimes sometimes I wonder how the guides are going to weave all the themes together, and they are somehow making it happen and giving me whatever I need so I can bring that through for you all. So I'm very excited to bring that in and hope that you all will consider joining us for this very important healing circle that we have in April. And we still have spaces left in our trip to Peru. We are going to be focused on activating some divine masculine codes there and connecting with the Apus, the mountains, including Apu Asangate, which I'm very excited to travel to and really know that some of you need these divine masculine codes. I'm already starting to channel them in and get downloads about how we're going to work with the land with this in Peru. And we have Rebbe and Nelda, who will be our other guides that are based in Peru. They're amazing space holders, and they are great mirrors for Josh and I in our partnership. And they're very heart-centered, very loving, just like family. So if you're interested in going on an adventure, we leave at the end of July. There's still some spaces open. If you'd like to join us, you can find out more about that below this video. And then the last thing that I want to say is don't forget to like and subscribe, because we have lots of upcoming things coming up that I am really excited to share with you all. Some things that I'm creating in the background. And we also are launching our nonprofit, Mother Earth's Embrace, and we've launched a whole apparel line and just different things that you can purchase where all the proceeds go to survivors of Helene here in North Carolina and the fires that have recently been plaguing North Carolina. So these poor people have just been through so much, and it's where I'm from in the mountains, and I really want to give back and give you all a way to take something home that you can wear that will be uplifting for those that see it and give back in the process. So we're just starting that up. I'll put the link to our shop below this video as well. So check that out as well if you want to give back and have something beautiful to wear in the process. All right, I hope you all have a great month. I will see you soon, and I hope to see some of you in Healing Circle next week. All right, bye-bye.